Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today, we are back to Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. So, in our last episode, we finished the origins of Horus and saw a bit of a twist ending. It seems that Eris is even more involved than we thought, so surely we're going to see that theme carry over somehow into Case 4, which is Severed Ties. I have no idea what we're about to have in store for us, but let's go ahead, hop in, and find out. Alright. Up until now, we've been following the story of Tyrion Cuthbert. Yes, that is true. We've experienced the world through his eyes and fought for justice through his soul. But this time, why don't we start from the perspective of another? Uh-oh, who are we going to play this time? That's going to be interesting. Episode 4, Severed Ties. Alright. Oh, Ruby Tamura, okay. I can't believe Cuthbert read the client's mind without asking. It's starting to become a problem. He's becoming more and more reckless with each passing year. I wish Frey was still alive. She would know what to do. She made it look so effortless, and he loved her. Would he have listened to her if she was still here? Is something the matter, Tamura? No, I was just thinking about something. Well, the trial is about to begin. I don't doubt your abilities, but I'd still appreciate it if you remained focused. All of our futures are at stake, after all. Of course, Miss Freyga. Oh boy, okay, so this is from one of the high houses, the Freyga house. She's a freelancer? I wonder what the case is. Beatrice takes in a deep breath before she clasps her hands together. What's wrong? Nothing. It's just a ritual I use to calm myself. Right. Well, I suppose we all deal with stress differently. More importantly, what are you doing here? My father sent me to guide Beatrice through the courthouse. It's a new environment for her, and we were both worried about her condition. I still can't believe you were the boss's daughter this entire time. Why didn't you say anything at the academy? Oh, knowing my true identity would have caused friction with your son, wouldn't it? He's not my... Anyways, I suppose I understand why you stayed quiet. But I still don't appreciate being kept in the dark about this. Oh, speak of the devil. In this case... Oh, okay. You spot Cuthbert and McCoy walking into the courtroom with the other members of the gallery. I thought she was going to say, speak of the devil, and then it was her dad. McCoy spots you and gives you a friendly yet awkward smile. However, Cuthbert ignores you entirely and walks silently into the courtroom. Parental troubles? We had an argument earlier. It's nothing to worry about. If you say so. You are wary about what he saw in Beatrice's mind, though. He's always been a good kid, but his idealistic sense of justice clouds his judgment sometimes. Alright? You just hope that he's not planning to do anything reckless. The trial is about to begin. Do you really have to take time to be making, or do you really have the time to be making small talk here? Prosecutor Steelwind approaches the three of you. But she appears to be accompanied by someone else. What in the world is going on here? It's Wallace. Nightgrave, is that you? What are you doing here? Well... He's accompanying me as my aide for this case. I see. So I assume you'll be prosecuting? Of course. I would never pass up the opportunity to face the infamous Ruby Tamura. Really? If I recall correctly, you haven't even beaten Tyrion once so far. Way to piss her off. Miss Steelwind, don't strain yourself. What's that look for, Beatrice? You almost look surprised to see me here. Considering the circumstances, I thought you might recuse yourself. I am more than capable of being objective, especially for a case of this much importance. Well, I hope your mind is as strong as you think it is. Miss Steelwind, please calm down. Oh, how I love a good reunion. Yep, that seems about a appropriate response. Man, what is going on here? Ruby is on the opposite side of Wallace. Like, what is going on? Court is now in session for the trial of Beatrice Frega. Miss Steelwind, is the prosecution ready? Miss Steelwind? Of course. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is also ready, Your Honor. Something seems off about her today. Is her personal attachment to this case distracting her? Very well, let's begin the proceedings. Prosecutor Steelwind, could you please list the charges? Your Honor, the defendant is charged with first-degree murder and grand theft. As many of you know, Beatrice Frega is the formerly missing daughter of the now late William Frega, and the victim of the murder is William Frega himself. Yes, I'm well aware of that. The people of Wyverngard will certainly mourn the loss of House Frega's head. Please, the only people mourning him are his banking houses and the banking house's shareholders. But anyways, did you also say the defendant is accused of grand theft? Yes, Your Honor. The crimes took place during the Lord's Ball, an event that was hosted in Frega Manor yesterday evening. The Haraldson Hall of History had a gallery display within the manor. They were showcasing several magical artifacts donated to the Wyverngard Historical Society. One of these items was the Sword of Spell Eating, a magical artifact that allows its wielder to nullify magical effects. Interesting. So we have this item added to our list of clues. The Sword of Spell Eating is an ancient artifact. When wielded by a creature, that creature and anything connected to them physically or magically, that's interesting that it includes or magically, are immune to all harmful magical effects. Legends say that it was forged through a blood contact between a mage and a demon. Eris's father, I wonder? Alright. We, the prosecution, believe the defendant stole this item. She then used it to nullify the magical lock on the victim's study. After breaking into the study, she attacked the victim and slashed his throat open using a letter opener. He died of blood loss shortly after. Okay, so we have the autopsy report of William Frega. Died at 3:12 a.m. Cause of death was blood loss after his throat was slashed open. Both carotid arteries were severed, meaning that death must have followed mere seconds after the wound was inflicted. Body shows several scratch marks on the face and back. Traces of illusion magic were also found on the body. Okay. I see. But what possible motive would the defendant have to murder her own father? William Frega and his daughter were not close. Saying that they had a strained relationship would be an understatement. In fact, 5 years prior to the murder, Beatrice abandoned and fled her home. She went into hiding and did not contact any of her friends or family. Her whereabouts were unknown until she suddenly contacted her father a week ago. I love the death slam. Even Ruby Tamora does it. My client left the Frega household because of her toxic relationship with her father. She wanted to create a life for herself that was free from his influence and abuse. I won't disagree with your claims, but that just highlights how desperate the defendant must have been. She had clearly fallen on hard times and begrudgingly contacted her father for financial aid. I can't possibly understand why they would schedule this meeting during the Lord's Ball. But nevertheless, several witnesses did see her that night, and these same witnesses saw her storming out of her father's study in anger. Her father must have refused her request for gold, so she decided to murder him to claim his inheritance. Luckily, we prepared for this in advance. Yes, they're playing right into our hands. Okay, so we have William Frega's inheritance. So Beatrice Frega fled from her family 5 years ago and went into hiding. In retaliation, William Frega told Miriam Frega that he would remove Beatrice from his will. As a result, she wouldn't receive any inheritance after his death. As per your agreement, this testimony will be confirmed by Miriam in court. What you're saying is all conjecture, Stillwind. You don't have any evidence or testimony that confirms what they spoke about. Yes, I'm well aware that you and your client have refused to tell us what was discussed during that meeting. But as long as you both stay silent, my claims are plausible. Be honest, Stillwind. Do you seriously think that my client committed these crimes in spite of her condition? 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 What do you mean by that, Miss Demora? Why don't you tell him, Stillwind? Tell the court about my client's disability. Oh, she's mad now. Your Honor, Beatrice Frege is considered legally disabled. However, legally disabled? That's a convenient way of putting it, Stillwind. My client isn't just legally disabled. She's completely blind. Oh, man. Completely blind? Is this true? We have several medical documents and testimony from several supposed to be surgeons, chirurgeons, that's a weird spelling, attesting to that fact. My client is unable to see anything. Okay, Beatrice Frege is completely blind. She's unable to see anything through her eyes. This has been verified through several medical reports and qualified surgeons. What is the meaning of this, Miss Stillwind? Do you expect me to believe that a blind woman performed any of the acts you're accusing her of? I'm glad you also see how ridiculous these claims are, Your Honor. If the court would just let me elaborate. Stillwind, the prosecution's first charge is grand theft. My client would have needed to break into a magically secured display case. Performing such an act would be difficult for anyone, much less my client. And the second charge is first-degree murder. My client would have needed to use the sword of spell eating on the lock leading to the victim's study. Then she would have needed to grab a letter opener, overpower the victim, and deliver a precise and fatal blow to the victim's neck. Does any of that sound like a reasonable theory, Your Honor? I'm compelled to agree with you, Miss Demora. It all sounds quite ludicrous, to be perfectly honest. This is just awful. The Stillwinds are clearly just attacking the Fregas now that their head is deceived. Objection! Oh, she is not having a good day. Enough! Your Honor, the court has not seen the evidence that supports this case, nor have you listened to the Inquisition's testimony regarding their investigation. Until you have done so, you are in no position to pass judgment. Very well, Miss Stillwind. I suppose you have a point. Guess the young lady has some claws after all. But it doesn't matter. Their case against Beatrice is questionable at best. Frankly, it's surprising that Stillwind even went through with this. It's only a matter of time before the judge sees things your way. To begin, the prosecution would like to call Commander Orem White to the stand. Oh boy, our good friend Mr. Orem White. Commander White, please testify to the court about the Inquisition's findings. Alright. We didn't want to cause panic after the sword was stolen, so we activated the manor's silent security system. It put an anti-magic field over the entire manor. We did a search of the house, and we found the stolen sword in the defendant's bedroom. It didn't look like she was going to run. The Crown Prince Aster told us to stand down, so we just kept a close eye on her. William Frege was in a bad mood that night. He had already locked himself inside his study. But an hour later, we entered the study and found him lying dead in the pool of blood. The lock was still engaged, and no one teleported in. The perp must have temporarily disabled the lock using the sword of spell eating. We have testimonies that say the defendant was seriously in debt. She must have murdered the victim to get a part of his inheritance. Okay. Their case against Beatrice is just as you predicted. And you already have a countermeasure to disprove the existence of any motive. All you have to do is present that to the court. Okay? So we're going to have to find the correct evidence and present it. Alright. We didn't want to cause any panic after the sword was stolen. So we activated the manor security system and put an anti-magic field over the entire manor. Okay, let's press. Wait, doesn't the sword make the wielder immune to magical effects? An anti-magic field would have only disempowered everyone except the thief. Yeah, well, we didn't know what the sword could do until after the investigation. Up until then, we thought it was just a dusty old artifact. That seems pretty negligent. Are you sure you're qualified for your position, Orem? Man, that has been questioned so many times. The situation was unprecedented for everyone involved. One could hardly expect an ancient artifact to have magical capabilities. Anyways, what did you do after the theft, Commander? We did a search of the house, and we found the stolen sword in the defendant's bedroom. That's how we know it was her. And that seems like a strange conclusion to jump to. My client hadn't stepped foot into Freyga Manor in years, exactly. After being gone for so long, her bedroom had to have been repurposed for something else. I'm not sure about the details, but one of the defendant's sisters refused to let the servants disturb that room. I guess she was hoping that her sister would come back one day. Leif? I guess that's the sister. It didn't look like she was going to run. The Crown Prince asked her, told us to stand down, so we just kept a close eye on her. And why would the prince tell you to stand down, Orem? Yeah, like, what's his beef in this? Well, Crown Prince Aster knew the defendant well. He was confident that she wasn't going to flee the scene. Are you sure he just knew her well? If I recall correctly, the prince is still very adamant about her innocence. The Crown Prince is vouching for the defendant? Is this true, Miss Steelwind? It is, however, I believe that the evidence found through the investigation proves the contrary. Are you sure your judgment isn't simply being clouded by your jealousy? Your fiancé was previously engaged to my client, after all. Uh-oh, that's that face. And she's just like, I don't like you. You're enjoying this a bit too much. William Freyga was in a bad mood that night, so he had already locked himself inside his study. Did anyone see him enter the study? A few people. One of them was Leif Freyga, the victim's second daughter. That's the sister. She said that he was really irritated that night, so he went to his study for some peace and quiet. I guess his meeting with the defendant put him in a bad mood. But if the manor was covered in an anti-magic field, how did he lock the door magically? I'm not sure how, but the locks in the manor aren't affected by anti-magic fields. How? The magical locks generate a smaller anti-magic field around themselves. The two fields cancel each other out. It's like multiplying two negative numbers together. I'm going to be honest, I have no understanding of these things. Is what she's saying true, Beatrice? Yes, overlapping anti-magic fields are a well-studied phenomenon. You'll just have to take her word for it. Alright, but an hour later, we entered the study and found him lying dead in a pool of blood. Who is the person that discovered the body? The same person who saw him last, his daughter, Leif Freyga. Poor Leif, that must have been traumatizing for her. How do we know that she's not the one who did it? I'm just curious. Did anyone else accompany Leif when she happened upon the body? Yeah, supposedly one of the servants got himself locked in a nearby storage closet. What? And he heard the violent attack through one of the air vents. When he finally got out, he told Leif and they went to the study accompanied by some knights. The lock was still engaged and no one teleported in. The perp must temporarily disable the lock using something like the Sword of Spell Eating. Is that even true? Like, what does the Sword of Spell Eating do? When wielded by a creature, the creature and anything connected to them are immune to all harmful magical effects. That's not a harmful magical effect. That's just a law. Right?
Objection!
No, okay, that's not going to be it. But that doesn't make sense, though. Okay. Or perhaps you should stop making such careless claims. Right. What's wrong with you? You're usually much less careless. You have the evidence you need. Just present to the court. Yeah, I thought I had. Okay, anyways, let's press. The sword is integral to the case against my client. So why is the description of his capabilities so vague? To be honest, the sword is magic, but it doesn't seem to behave like any spells we know about. And we can't identify its magic like we usually do with artificial devices. According to Lord Haraldson, its powers are demonic in nature. But if you ask me, it's all a bunch of hooey. Okay. Anyways, it's obvious that it doesn't follow the normal rules of magic. Wait, what? What is it, Miss Tamora? It is nothing. Cuthbert is watching from the gallery, so he must have heard that too. Could the Eye of Horus have something to do with demons? No. Focus on acquitting the client first. You can worry about Cuthbert later. Either way, we've tested the sword's magic on similar locks. When used correctly, it is capable of disabling the lock on Lord Frega's study. How, though? That makes no sense. We have testimonies that say the defendant was seriously in debt. She must have murdered the victim to get a part of his inheritance. You have testimonies? Wouldn't an official record be a more valid evidence? Miss Tamora, you and I both know your client's creditors are not the type to keep such records. So you're admitting that you're relying on hearsay. One could conclude that. But it doesn't matter if we can prove that this debt exists. The Frega estate is unimaginably vast. Debt or no debt, that amount of wealth would be a tempting boon to any individual. She has a point. House Frega owns all of the banking houses in Wyverngarde. People can only dream of having that much power and wealth. Okay, so the prosecution's case against Beatrice is already really weak. You're not even sure why they bothered bringing this to trial in the first place. And you already have the testimony from someone else that directly contradicts the commander's testimony. Okay, so what do we have? It was... Oh yeah, let's see. She's blind. Body shows several scratch marks on the face and back. Traces of illusion magic were found on the body. Let's see. What do we have? I'm confused. Oh, she fled from her family 5 years ago and went into hiding. She wouldn't receive any inheritance after his death. Okay, so it's gonna be the last statement, right? Yeah, so she isn't going to get it, right? Objection. There we go. Alright. Your Honor, the prosecution's case against my client is riddled with holes, and the prosecution's proposed motive is the largest among them. What do you mean, Miss Tamora? Of all the elements in this case, the motive is the most believable. Your client would have had much to gain through her father's inheritance. That may be, but that's assuming my client had anything to inherit at all. What? Your Honor, my client fled from her psychologically abusive father 5 years ago. How do you think he would have reacted to that? Lord Frega was a petty and vindictive man. Do you honestly think that he'd leave his inheritance to someone who disobeyed him so egregiously? No. He'd do everything in his power to make sure that she didn't see a shred of his wealth. So much commotion in the gallery. Yes, we're already well aware of this. The moment she slams her gun down, we notice the prosecutor winces. But she quickly hides it and regains her composure. On the night of the murder, the victim made the decision to disinherit the defendant. However, his murder deprived him of the opportunity to submit his will to his attorney. This only further proves the defendant's motive. She would have needed to act quickly lest her father submit the changed will. I'm afraid you're mistaken, Stillwyn. William Frega didn't disinherit my client that night. He disinherited my client 5 years ago. I have witness testimony from Miriam Frege, William's youngest daughter. By her own admission, her father disinherited my client shortly after she fled the household. What? She never brought that up during questioning. Perhaps she's not as amicable to you as you thought. If you don't believe me, why don't we call her to the stand and ask her ourselves? What are you planning, Miss Tamora? I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, it's clear we won't get anywhere until we hear from Miriam directly. Bailiff, please escort Miriam Frege to the stand. Well, we're having a return of Miriam to the stand. All right, so we've seen her before. She was in case 2. Miriam, is the defense correct? Did your father disinherit Beatrice 5 years ago? Yes. And you didn't think it was necessary to share this information with me? Oh, well, you never asked. She's like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Are you for real? If I recall correctly, you were also tight-lipped during questioning this morning. Are you staying quiet for your sister's sake? The witness just lost her father. You can hardly expect her to recall every detail that's relevant to the case. Which raises a more concerning question. How did you extract this information? Who knows? Maybe I just have a way with people. Regardless, I suppose you have a point. I'll give the witness the benefit of the doubt for now. In any case, Miriam, please testify to the court about how you found out about Beatrice's disinheritance. Yes, of course. Oh boy, what's she gonna say? One day, we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from our home. She left a note for us, and in it she renounced her name and denounced my father. My father later called me and my sister into his study. He told us that he'd completely disowned Beatrice and removed any claim she had to the Frege estate. It was probably a threat to us in case we ever chose to go down the same path she did. He wanted to make an example out of her. This all happened 5 years ago. Okay. And are you sure this all happened 5 years ago? Yes, even now I can remember everything clearly. I see. Her speech is getting slower. Is she deep in thought? Is she running out of ideas? Nightgrave seems extremely concerned for some reason. Why is he even here? I don't understand his part in this. And Leif was there with you at this meeting? Yes, she was. However, Leif couldn't have possibly been there. Her words are getting more slurred. You notice that her balance is slightly swaying. Uh-oh. Hey, are you okay? What's going on? Of course, Uh-oh. What? What's going on? By the Scaled Lord, is that blood? Blood? But, Bailiff, find anyone capable of casting healing magic. Escort them to the courtroom immediately. Well, you know, Wallace is capable of casting healing magic, right? After some scrabbling, a couple of healers are able to help Nightgrave stabilize the prosecutor. In all the chaos, you caught a glimpse of her. There were deep wounds and blood on several parts of her body. She must have used some kind of illusion to hide them, but her disguise is completely dissipated now. Before Steelwind is taken out of the courtroom, you catch her whispering something into Nightgrave's ear. You see a look of confusion from him, but he nods and makes his way to the witness stand. But not before passing a message on to the bailiff, who seems equally confused. Just what is going on? Mr. Nightgrave, explain yourself. What is going on? Why was Miss Steelwind so gravely injured? I'm sorry. I wasn't actually here as Miss Steelwind's aide. I was here as her healer. Her healer? The truth is, Miss Steelwind was violently attacked at noon today. She was in critical condition, but she insisted on prosecuting the case anyways. I owed her a favor, and she asked me to channel my necromancy to keep her wounds closed during the trial. Scaled Lord, why didn't she just recuse herself? She must have known. If anyone else tried to prosecute Beatrice, you would have handily won the trial. Nevertheless, she showed up to prosecute because no one else would, and she did it all despite the risk to her life. It almost makes you respect her a little. Almost. Anyways, is there any need to prolong this trial, Your Honor? What? Even you must acknowledge how weak the case against my client is. In addition to that, Miriam's testimony shows that my client had nothing to gain from her father's death. Miss Tamora, Miss Steelwind has been gravely injured, and you're still only concerned about... The only thing I'm concerned about is seeking justice for my client. Even so, we cannot move forward until we find another prosecutor. And how long do you think that will take, Your Honor? It's almost been 12 hours since the murder took place. That gives us what, 36 hours? After that, every magical trace at the crime scene will fully disappear. But there might be someone. If Steelwind had simply allowed another prosecutor to work this case, we wouldn't be in this situation. She took a risk, and now she has to pay the price. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? You're not exactly proud of winning this way, but this is what it takes to win, and you won't let an opportunity like this pass you by. The judge is clearly unhappy with this turn of events, but it's out of his hands now. Well, due to today's unprecedented events, I suppose I have no choice. There aren't any prosecutors available to immediately take Miss Steelwind's place. We will take a brief recess. After that, I'll deliver my verdict. Oh boy, so what's going to happen now? Oh, I knew it. Somehow I just knew it. I knew he was going to step up. He's like, I'll do it. Your Honor, I'm afraid you can't pass a verdict just yet. Mr. Cuthbert. Cuthbert? What are you doing? I don't know. But what I do know is that there was a massive contradiction in Miriam Frega's testimony. But it looks like things aren't going to be as simple as you expected. Oh boy. We're going to save our progress and then go up against Tyrion. That's going to be fun. The night before. Ugh, I feel so out of place here. Despite your clear hatred for the nobility, you found yourself at a party filled with aristocrats. You hardly recognize anyone, but many of the people here clearly recognize you. You're used to receiving dirty looks from the upper class, but you can literally feel everyone's disdain for you. Why are you in the corner by yourself? I can't believe I let you talk me into coming here. For reasons unknown, you lose your train of thought. Yeah, it's completely unknown. Can't fathom the reason why. I've been wanting to wear this dress for a while now. What do you think? What's wrong? You suddenly feel extremely flustered. It's difficult to make eye contact with her. Oh, I see. Are you enchanted by my beauty? Come on, say something. Ever since that night in Arnex, you feel like something's been off between you two. Am I interrupting something? Miss Tamora, I wanted to check in on you two before we meet with Lord Frega. You spot a woman silently following behind her. Is she the client that Miss Tamora is representing? You're pretty sure this is your first time meeting her, but she still looks familiar for some reason. Hi, I'm Tyrion Cuthbert. I'm Miss Tamora's ward. You extend out your hand to shake hers. She has an aristocratic air to her, so you hope you're not being too informal. Instead of taking your hand, she clasps her hands together, and takes a deep breath. What? Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. It's a bit of a habit of mine. Oh. Nevertheless, she finally shakes your hand. I've heard much about you, Mr. Cuthbert. My name is Beatrice. You're not sure about the details, but your mentor appears to be brokering a deal between Beatrice and William Frege. William Frege is the ruling lord of House Frege, so you're a little curious about what kind of deal he'd be involved in. But you've learned not to pry into your mentor's business. Anyway, we'll probably be gone for a while. Can I trust you two not to cause trouble? You're in a manor filled with the highest members of the nobility. You might meet some familiar yet unfriendly faces. We'll keep a low profile, Miss Tamura. Please do. Oh boy. So, why were you so insistent on accompanying Miss Tamura to the Lord's ball? That's... You know you could tell me anything, right? She's sad, then she's happy, or nervous and happy. I guess everything that happened in Arnix made me think about things. I don't really know anything about my past or where I came from. I didn't want to think about it because of my dad and mom, but you wanted to find out who your biological parents are. I do, but I don't know now. Being here is starting to make me feel weird. I still have my mom, and looking for my birth parents feels wrong somehow. I don't think that's true.
Leroy Dragon!
Such a random sounder. Miss Tamura adopted me when I was a child, and she gave me a purpose in life. But I still keep my childhood memories of my mother close to me. Miss Tamura and my mother are both important to me. I don't think it's disrespectful to find out more about yourself, and I'm sure your mother will understand. You think so? Of course. And I'm also sure of another thing. If I'm with you, I doubt any of the nobles will want to speak with you. Yeah, I didn't want to be rude, but don't worry. I can find something to fill the time. You're just gonna play chess alone, aren't you? Maybe? You really need to learn to talk to other people. Make some new friends or something. I don't need more friends. I usually want to spend most of my time with you anyways. That response. Anyways, I'm going to go try to talk to some people. Yeah, I'll see you later. So Celeste leaves to mingle with some of the other partygoers. You find yourself with very little to do, and you doubt anyone would want to engage in small talk from the likes of you. Your hand instinctively goes to your satchel. It contains your foldable chessboard. Well, it's not as if I have anything better to do. I should try to find an empty table to play on. Alright. Let's see. We can examine over here. Each table has a centerpiece of flowers on it. Most of the seats at the table are filled. It doesn't look like you'll be able to play here. Okay. I think, okay, so we literally can't examine any of that. What are we? Several gold-tinted chandeliers hang from the ceiling of the ballroom. They look fancy enough to be worth a small fortune. It irks you a little how much wealth Lord Frege must be hoarding to afford all this. Alright, is that everything in here, I think? I guess we'll have to move. Let's go to the hallway. Alright. This place looks pretty quiet, but there aren't any tables anywhere. Well, I could play on the floor. It's a dog? What the? While walking through the hallways, you suddenly find yourself face to face with a large wolf. Immediately upon seeing you, the wolf quickly gallops away. Did someone leave a door open? You think about telling someone, but you remember that the manor is full of nobles. You're sure a servant will spot it eventually, and it's not as if anyone will believe you anyways. I mean, who are we? We're just Terry and Cuthbert, right? But it'd probably be best to find somewhere else to play. Anything else? What are these? Are these like the light crystals? There are several jewels mounted on the wall, and they all look equidistant from each other. This is so interesting. Yeah, I love it. It's very cool. You already know that House Frege is wealthy, but embedding jewels into the wall makes the place look pretty tacky. Okay. Nothing else to examine, so let's see where else we can move to. Let's try the gallery. Oh, there's the infamous sword. You look further around the manor and find a room with several displays. It looks like a gallery of some sort, but it's slightly out of place here. There are a few nobles in the room, and they're all silently appreciating the exhibits. Perhaps Lord Frege paid a museum to create some historical displays for the Lord's Ball. Now there's a face I haven't seen before. As you take a closer look at one of the exhibits, an old man approaches you. Is that a monkey on his back? Hello, my name is Harold Haroldson. I'm the curator of this collection. Haroldson? Is that a pseudonym or something? No? Okay, so he's an historian? I see. Wait, he's a museum curator? He must be extremely knowledgeable about Wyverngard's history. You wonder, would you happen to know anything about the ancient dragons? Ah, like the scaled Lord Rathelion. There are many pieces in this gallery, and some of them are items that were wielded by the 7 heroes of Wyverngard. I love the monkey. The legends say that some of these items were directly enchanted by Rathelion himself. Enchanted by Rathelion. Would that mean they also don't follow the rules of magic? Perhaps you should examine these items more closely. Alright, what is this? It's a pair of metallic armbands. There are several magical runes carved onto them. Those are the armbands of intellect. They were actually created by a member of House Frege many centuries ago. Centuries? That would make these armbands one of the first creations of artificery. That's correct. Legends say that whoever wore these armbands would be granted unparalleled levels of intellect. Many believe that House Frege created these to aid them in their study of magic. Interesting. So the armbands of intellect are an ancient artifact. When worn by a creature, that creature's intelligence would be increased beyond the limits of an average human. Legends say that it was forged by a member of House Frege to further their study of magic. It's a painting of some sort of scientist. And that man is Luke Kupfer. He was an alchemist and inventor from one of the branch families. He is well known for his studies into imbuing intelligence into automatons. Did he make the constructs then, I wonder? Or at least set the groundwork for it? Intelligent automatons. Me and Tyrion, we're like...
What just happened?
Me and Tyrion are like on the same wavelength here. Alright. Would that make them similar to the arcane constructs? Yes, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if Lord Von Sanctus used Dr. Kupfer's research to create those constructs. So in essence, Von Sanctus is taking credit for someone else's work. Raise your hand if you're surprised. Like, no surprise here. Alright. It's a crimson red short sword. And that's the sword of spell eating. The legends say that it has the power to protect its wielder from any kind of magic. So it's like an anti-magic field. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Okay, so anti-magic hit anti-magic, right? In a way, yes. But it has less than heroic origins, I'm afraid. It's said that this sword was created through a blood pact between a mage and a demon. A demon? Legends say that some demons had the power to absorb and nullify magic. A demon must have imbued some of that power into this sword. It's a blood sword. Or at least that's what the legends say. Okay, so the sword of spell eating is an ancient artifact also. When wielded by a creature, that creature, and anything connected... Okay, so that's the same note we had before. Is it safe to put something like this on display? What if the legends are true? Don't worry, these displays are fortified with several abjuration spells. I'd bet even Lord Steelwind would have trouble getting into this. Okay, Haroldson's security. The artifacts on display at the Lord's Ball were protected by layers of abjuration spells. Even a highly skilled mage would have had trouble breaking into them. Alright, who's this? This innocuous-looking man. It's a painting of a researcher. That's Professor Matt Furland. He was a professor of some renown. He was a researcher of combinatorial magic theory. What's that? It's the study of how different types of magic interact with each other. He famously ran an experiment on what would happen if two anti-magic fields overlapped each other. He looks evil. That actually is pretty interesting. What were the results of the experiment? Well, they had mages into the space where the two fields overlapped. It turns out those mages were able to use their magic in that space. Wait, how would that be possible? They would have had two anti-magic fields affecting them. When the two fields overlap, they canceled each other out. I've heard that's akin to multiplying two negative numbers together. Alright, so we knew this. Now what is this? It's a pair of golden earrings. There are small jewels embedded into each of them. Those are the earrings of vitality. It's said that the Scaled Lord imbued a portion of his immortality into these. Legends say that whoever wore them would have their lifespan increased tenfold. The Scaled Lord could do things like that? Of course! He is the Scaled Lord after all. Alright, so the earrings of vitality were also, we have 3 ancient artifacts so far. When worn by a creature, that creature's wounds will slowly heal over time. Furthermore, its holder's lifespan increases tenfold for as long as they're worn. Legends say it was created by the Scaled Lord himself. Makes me wonder. Are there any spells that can create a similar effect to these earrings? Not that I know of. A spell like that would probably fall under the school of necromancy. And I'm sure you know how much the kingdom scrutinizes that type of magic. Even the monkey's mad. Alright, I think we have checked out everything. Can we talk to you? So, what is a historian doing at the Lord's Ball, Mr. Haroldson? Harold. Right, Harold. Anyways, Lord Frege invites my museum to set up some displays here every year. He must think it adds some semblance of culture, the fool. You own a museum? Yes, it's the Haroldson Hall of History, located in the city of Holmhereth. That's a mouthful. Unfortunately, I don't think his guests appreciate the historical significance of these items. Honestly, I think you're the only person in years who's taken a meaningful interest in them. Okay. What about we get to talk about the monkey, but I love necromancers, yes. Well, so in this game, necromancy and healing actually are the same school of magic, so all the healers in the kingdom, they're actually necromancers. Sorry, but I have to ask, is that a monkey riding on your back? Yes, this is my familiar, Eugene. You're familiar. A familiar is a creature that a mage has formed a magical bond with. With that bond, our souls are forever connected. I can communicate with him telepathically. I could even cast my spells through him if I wanted to. Interesting. Really? I never knew a spell like that existed. It's quite rare. Very few mages take the time to learn how to cast it. Okay, familial bond. Lasts forever. A caster forms a magical, unbreakable bond with the target creature, connecting them to the caster's magic. While this bond exists, the caster can telepathically communicate with the target over any distance. The caster can also choose to see through the target's eyes as long as they concentrate. And lastly, the caster can also cast spells from the location of the target creature instead of their own location. Why do I have a feeling this is going to be important? Once this bond is formed, neither the caster nor the target can form bonds with any other creature. This bond can only be broken in death. Eugene helps me with my day-to-day. These old bones aren't as spry as they used to be, after all. Harold? Harold? As a historian, do you have a lot of knowledge about the ancient dragons? The answer to that question is somewhat complicated. What do you mean? Unfortunately, a lot of historical texts in my collection have been altered or even outright destroyed by the Church of Bahamut. Because of that, it's quite difficult to separate myths from actual historical accounts. Right, I remember encountering a similar problem at the Imperial Academy. You must be quite dedicated to your studies. They let this simpleton into the Imperial Academy? He's mad? Okay, so I'm guessing that means he wanted to go to the Imperial Academy and was rejected? rude, but you suppose that can't be helped. I had to fight the church for a long time before I could even display dragon bones in my museum. In the history of the ancient dragons, was there any instance of them granting powers to humans? Well, of course. That's the entire promise behind the 7 heroes of Wivengard. Does this idiot not even know about that? Right, but was there anything before that? Did they ever grant supernatural abilities that didn't follow the rules of arcane magic? Granting supernatural abilities, you say? That sounds more like something demonic in nature rather than draconic. Demonic? Much like the ancient dragons, demons are the stuff of myth. There are many stories of people selling their souls to them for untold power. Selling their souls? You recall the note that your mother left you before she was executed. Use my eyes. Peer beyond the divine gate as I once did. She told you to use her eyes. Did your mother make a deal with a demon to give you the Eye of Horus? Is something wrong? This simpleton is far too superstitious. No, nothing's wrong. It's a bit too much to take in, but you might just be overthinking this. There haven't been any recorded sightings of demons in recent history. Lie! We saw Eris. I'm 100% sure she's a demon. Just go back and look. She's a demon. You can't look that evil without being a demon. There are only secondhand stories and superstitions. The Eye of Horus can't possibly be demonic, can it? You hope Celeste's investigation is going better than yours. Boy. Well, that looks like a delicious spread of hors d'oeuvres and whatnot. How dare you insinuate that I engaged in an adulterous relationship? That's not what I... Enough. If you try to speak with me again, I'll have the King's Guard throw you out. This isn't working. I don't think asking them like that will be very effective. What? Did you expect anyone here to be truthful with you? You're essentially asking them if they cheated on their spouses. Have you been spying on me? The monkey looks weird when it's mad, so mean. Yeah. Not intentionally. I was just surprised to see you here, of all places. Right, I guess that makes sense. You're not party crushing, are you? Of course not. I came here with Ruby and Tyrion. That honestly raises more questions than answers. But I'll take your word for it. Anyways, you're looking for your birth parents, aren't you? Was I being that obvious? It's the only reason I could think of. Why else would you be trying to speak with members of the nobility? I don't know if it's any of my business. Think hard about whether this is what you truly want. Getting entangled with the aristocracy will only bring you misery. I've read your file. You have everything you could ever want. Alright, Taco Crew, be right back. You have your mother and your friends. You even have a lover. What? You're in a relationship with Mr. Cuthbert, are you not? No, Tyrion's not my... Really? From the way you two behave around one another, I just assumed. It's pretty obvious you have feelings for him. What? How obvious? Did he seriously not notice? I think someone with his deductive reasoning skills would easily see through you. Oh yeah? What about you and Aster? I have no idea what you're talking about. Come on, I was there at Von Sanctus Manor. It's so obvious you like him. Please, you're grossly exaggerating things. He may be my fiancé, but I only have the utmost respect for him. And what if I told you he was standing right behind you? Do you honestly think I'd fall for something like that? What are you falling for? Your Highness. Oh, hello, Lady Steelwind. Your Highness, please don't run ahead like that. Your conversation with Harold was definitely interesting, but you still find yourself with very few leads. Be it dragons or demons, the origins of the Eye of Horus still remain a mystery. You find yourself returning to the ballroom, and you spot Celeste in the corner with some other people. Is she with Aster and Steelwind? Hey, Aster. What do you think of Steelwind's dress? It suits you very well, Miss Steelwind. You look lovely. Squeak! I love this. She's like, I have no words. Gross. As you approach the group, you're stopped by a knight from the King's Guard. He stares you down. What? Reperio Arcanum. That was the incantation for detect magic. The knight stares you up and down. Celeste hasn't cast any spells on you lately, so you shouldn't be able to see any traces of magic. That's weird. I wonder what the deal with that is. Oh, Mr. Cuthbert. What was that all about? My apologies. They were making sure you weren't disguising yourself with an illusion. The King's Guard are charged with keeping us safe. They must take every precaution to protect us. Of course, makes sense. Oh, and who might you be? Do not speak so familiarly with me, peasant. Alaric, don't speak to him like that. Why shouldn't I speak to him as I please? I am Prince Alaric de Rivengard VI. I will not demote myself by showing courtesy to a commoner. Doesn't he mean demean? He is definitely not like his brother. His older brother is definitely much nicer. Because Aster is like a huge fanboy of Tyrion. I'm terribly sorry about him, Mr. Cuthbert. It's fine. Anyways, weren't you supposed to be investigating your birth parents? Leave the poor woman alone. She started it. Right. I'm actually quite surprised to see you both here. What brings you to the Lord's Ball, Mr. Cuthbert? We were just accompanying Miss Tamora. Her client has business with Lord Freyga. Her client? Yes, indeed. Uh-oh. That's an angry face. But Beatrice. Uh-oh. And now she's got all kinds of anxiety. Beatrice suddenly storms through the ballroom. She almost walks right past you before she hears Aster's voice. She looks furious. Did her discussion with Lord Freyga go badly? Oh, that voice! Is that you, Aster? It really is you. She called him Aster instead of Your Highness. Do they personally know each other? I'm so glad to see you again. It's been quite some time. He's happy and sad. Is that really all you have to say? And then she's sad and nervous. Uh-oh, there's so much drama here. It appears you two have much to talk about. I'll be taking my leave. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There's a bit of tension in the air. Just a little bit. Everyone's sad now. Celeste, we should probably get going too. Yeah. Oh boy. Nothing like a big drama llama sandwich, right? Wow, that was awkward. Yeah, I wonder how those two know each other. She's working with Miss Tamora, but somehow she knows Lord Freyga and the Crown Prince. Just who is she? Well, you suppose it's none of your business. Anyway, how did your investigation go? I got nothing. I think all I did was make a bunch of nobles mad. Sorry. I know you really wanted some answers. And I'm sure something will come up. You think so? It might be a little irresponsible to give her hope like this. A noble abandoned her at a tavern in a rundown village. You doubt someone like that would make themselves easy to find. Anyways, I don't want this night to be a total loss. Come on, dance with me. Oh, she's nervous about it. What? That's not really something I... Don't be like that. How often do we get to go to a party like this? before you have a chance to object, she grabs your hand and starts dragging you into the middle of the room. You receive a few dirty looks from the aristocrats nearby. Celeste, people are staring at us. Actually, it said they were staring at us, but that's okay. Who cares what they think? They're nobles. They're going to hate us no matter what we do. Who's there? She takes a hold of your other hand and begins to pull you into a waltz. I don't even know how to dance. I've never done this before. It's easy. Just stop being so awkward about it. That's easy for her to say. Alright, just tell me what I need to do. Well, first, you need to be closer to me. With one swift motion, she pulls your body closer to hers. Watch my movements and try to follow my lead. You seem to know a lot about these things. I had to do a lot of networking when I was a mercenary. Do you know how many times I had to charm a merchant into hiring me? I see. You really don't know much about her, do you? You carefully watch the position of her feet and try to match her movements. After a while, you find yourself able to match her rhythm. But you still accidentally step on her foot every few beats. She doesn't seem fazed by it. Either she's being polite, or she genuinely doesn't feel anything. You're getting it, but don't focus so much on where your feet are. Just look at me. What? Come on, do it. You try to break eye contact with her, but every time you do, you slowly found yourself being drawn back into her eyes. You feel so embarrassed that you're becoming lightheaded, and you find yourself perspiring more than usual. But at the same time, you don't have any urge to break away from her. Aww. There's a comforting warmth behind all the anxiety you're feeling. Ah, there he is, the infamous Tyrion Cuthbert. Never turns away from a challenging noble, but can't dance a step to save his life. Her expression doesn't betray a hint of it, but you still detect feelings of nervousness from her. Is she just as flustered as you are? Yes, of course she is. You find yourself relaxing a bit more, and you're somehow able to continue watching her movements. See, there you go. Although, what is it? You know the man is supposed to lead, right? Maybe I don't subscribe to gender stereotypes. Or maybe you just suck at this. You tell him, Celeste. It's been a while since you felt this calm. There's always something that you needed to prepare for. A client that needed saving, a culprit that needed catching. But you're quite content with this one brief moment you're able to spend with her. You almost find yourself getting lost in the mood. Until you spot a familiar face accompanied by a legion of knights. No, don't tell me. The knights storm their way toward where Beatrice and Aster are. Several of the attendees take notice. They all stop what they're doing to see what's going on. Beatrice Freyga, by the authority of the Wyverngard Crown, you're under arrest. Did he just say Beatrice Freyga? Darn it, it was just getting good. We should go see what's happening, shouldn't we? Yeah, let's go. Uh-oh. You are completely out of line, Commander. I thought I already told you to stand down. Do you not recognize who you're speaking to? Let go of Lady Freyga. I can't really do that, Your Highness. Aster, what's going on? It's the Lord Freyga. He was found murdered in his study. And these cretins think that Beatrice is behind it somehow. Sorry, Your Highness, but my orders come straight from Steelwind. Lady Steelwind sent you? Beatrice takes in a deep breath and claps her hands together. I should go with them. What? No. right to... I don't want to cause friction between you and Arya. She's always been meticulous. I'm sure she's just being careful. I'm sure I'll be exonerated once they've thoroughly investigated what happened. Okay, only if that's what you truly want. What? You can't just let them take her away. Brother, she's correct. It's not our place to interfere with the laws of our kingdom. But... However... yes, Your Highness. Miss Beatrice is blind. One of your knights will need to escort her. She's what? Did he just say she's blind? Alright, Beatrice Frege is completely blind. That's right. We're gonna need to take you to a holding cell, lady. One of you should stay with her and guide her through. Please, I may be disabled, but I'm not a child. Beatrice walks past the knights and heads toward the foyer. It appears that she already knows the way out. Shouldn't you be following her? Right. Inquisition, move out! Oh boy, you definitely didn't expect the night to go like this. Just what is going on here? Alright. So we're going to go ahead and save. And then I think we are going to go ahead and stop here because we only have a little bit left in stream, and the next section is undoubtedly going to take longer than that. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I had fun. It's interesting, like seeing the case through Ruby Tamura's eyes to start with, and then it's going to be interesting. I wonder what the next part is. Are we going to investigate as Tyrion, or are we going to investigate as Ruby Tamura? Like, what's going to go on? It's going to be interesting to find out. But if you like this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we are here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Liara27. I have my schedule posted in the About section. And if you want to see which games I'll be playing each stream, I have that posted in twitter.com/Liara27. I hope that I will see you guys in the next one, and until then, bye.